Yo, what is up guys? This is Pedro here, and in today's video I will be talking about the news that came out that the Washington football team is planning on hosting left tackle Charles Leno for a visit to potentially sign with the Washington football team, and they are also hosting Dolphins safety slash cornerback Bobby McCain. So we'll talk about that and how it will impact the Washington football team. So if you guys are new, make sure to subscribe for Washington and NFL content. So let's get right into the video. Okay, so first let's start off with Charles Leno from Chicago, and I'll read this tweet right here from John Keim. He said, left tackle Charles Leno Jr. will visit Washington on Monday per source. The Chicago Bears released him earlier this week. It was because of a cap. He was a cap casualty. He was a 7th round pick in 2014, but has made 93 consecutive starts and, was a Pro Bowler in 2018. So Washington, at the very least is possibly looking at, adding more depth. Whether they want Leno to be a starter or not, that's a different question. I would assume, though, if Leno is signing here, he thinks he's going to start because, 93 starts in a row. He's probably not going to come here as a backup. He's at least going to want the chance to compete for the starting job, and I think Washington is going to give him that because you got Cornelius Lucas on the left side who, held it down last year, didn't play much, obviously, didn't start the year out as a starter, also got hurt a couple times, but when he did play, was pretty good, especially in the pass blocking game. Not the best in run blocking, but still pretty solid last year. But it was a limited sample size. You also got players like Jerron Christian and Sadiq Charles that could add some more depth. But going to be interesting because I was kind of thinking that it would be a competition between Samuel Cosmi, Cornelius Lucas, and maybe even Sadiq Charles, but this probably really signals that they view Sadiq Charles more as a guard. This is from PFF, but he had a pass blocking and run blocking grade over 70 this past season. He just isn't he's pretty inconsistent, according to Bears fans. A lot of false start penalties, a lot of penalties overall. I think this would be a solid move if they can get him for a relatively cheap price, kind of like what they did for Eric Flowers. Obviously not a trade this time, but if they can get him for, $3-ish million, around that range, maybe a little bit more, but not much more than that. At the very least, he's going to be depth, and he's going to be able to, compete for a starting spot. And Ron Rivera is bringing competition to the Washington football team. There's a lot of spots that are up for grabs. The safety position, which we'll talk about later. One of the outside cornerback positions, if Kendall Fuller, switches into the slot, if Benjamin St-Juste emerges. We got some linebacker competition all over the left side of the offensive line. We have no idea who's going to be the left tackle and left guard. There's going to be a lot of competition there, and I do like it. And another thing I like about this, if we can get him for cheap, it's just going to add more and more and more depth, which I really like, because you're going to have, 3 guys that could potentially start for you at left tackle in Cornelius Lucas, Charles Leno, and, Samuel Cosmi, and potentially Sadiq Charles, but they're probably more viewing him as a left guard. And, even Jerron Christian he's not, obviously you don't want him starting, but if he has to come in for a few plays, it's not the end of the world. But, Leno, 93 straight starts, so doesn't really deal with injuries and is going to be able to, play for you. And that's great because let's say Charles Leno starts out the season as a starter and he gets hurt. You're going to have Cornelius Lucas, Samuel Cosmi, or Sadiq Charles that can step in there at left tackle, and it's not that much of a, drop off, which is what you want. Great depth if we do end up signing him, and they're all going to be competing for a starting left tackle spot. Let me know down in the comments who you think wins that battle out of all those guys. Now on to another visit. And this visit is going to be on Monday, by the way, the Charles Leno visit. So another visit. So the Washington football team, is hosting Dolphins safety Bobby McCain on Monday as well. Miami released McCain. He started 55 total games with the Dolphins. And, Washington does have a free safety question. And, Bobby McCain also a team captain with the Dolphins. So that's another high character guy that they're bringing in. And one connection is that Eric Stokes, who is our senior director of player personnel, he was with Miami when the Dolphins drafted McCain in 2015. I think he might have been the assistant general manager. Bobby McCain, still relatively young. I think he's like 27 years old. He can play that free safety position. Also, a lot of Dolphins fans think he can play that. He's better suited for that slot cornerback, role. That's what he was doing before Brian Flores came in, was really, really good at that. He got paid to be a slot corner, and then once, Brian Flores came in, they kind of switched up the scheme, so he played more free safety, and he's still pretty good as a free safety, just wasn't as good at the free safety position as he was at the, nickel cornerback position. But both, are potential positions of need. Definitely free safety. We do need an upgrade there, and Bobby McCain would be great. And also could still use some more depth in the slot. If they still think Kendall Fuller is going to be our outside guy, then you got him on the outside, William Jackson on the outside, and you can have Bobby McCain in the nickel and occasionally as a free safety. So, yeah, I think this would be a solid move. It's going to be relatively cheap. You guys can read this right here, and I'll pull up some more stats from Bobby McCain from his past couple years. He is not the one, knock on him. I've watched a little bit of his highlights and his tape. He's not a good tackler at all, not very good in the run game. But that's not super important for us, given that we have a great defensive line. I think we got to more focus on, we just can't get beat over the top like we were last year, especially the first half of the year with Troy Apke. That was terrible. It was better, a lot better with DeShazier Everett and Jeremy Reeves, though. But I think Bobby McCain would be solid for us. You look at his stats, and he allowed a 62.5% completion percentage this past season, playing, both safety positions. But he did primarily play free safety. I know this says strong safety, but 62.5% completion percentage, that is pretty solid right there. And he allowed a 64.3 passer rating. That is very, very good. Allowed no touchdowns. That is very good right there. Had a really good season this past season. If it just, stats wise, completion percentage was pretty good, and definitely the pass rating was amazing. Didn't get targeted that much, only got targeted, 16 times this past season, 18 times the year before. And when he was kind of playing that slot cornerback position, he got targeted a bunch, and his numbers were not as great, at least in 2018. As they were this year. So I would like to sign Bobby McCain if they think that free safety is still a position of need. I think Cameron Curl should play strong safety, but if they want him to play free safety, then I wouldn't sign Bobby McCain. But if they want him to play strong safety, then I definitely would bring in Bobby McCain, because he is versatile. He can play free safety for you, but also can play that slot cornerback, nickel cornerback position that we do need. This is just really quick. Take it with a grain of salt, but from a Dolphins fan, he said he's slightly above average starter at free safety. Flores used him mostly as a high safety in cover 1/cover 3, was a very good slot cornerback in the Flores era. Fantastic locker room presence. Everybody loves the guy, and that's what we want. Another good culture guy, and he's going to become even better behind this defensive line. Playing behind this front four in Daron Payne, Jonathan Allen, Chase Young, Montez Sweat, Matt Ioannidis when he gets in there. Tim Settle is going to help him out a lot. So I'm liking what Ron is doing, bringing in more competition. As long as they can get these guys for cheap, I'm fine with it. I'm higher on the Bobby McCain visit than I am on the Charles Leno, but I would be okay with both signings. So let me know down below in the comments, what do you think? Who would you sign? And who do you want to sign more? So appreciate you guys for watching. Subscribe if you guys are new. Turn on those notifications so you never miss a video. And peace.